What's going on, guys? It's CTA Prime back here again. Today we're going to be taking a look at the PlayStation Classic. Now this is the mini PS1 as people are calling it. It comes with 20 preloaded PS1 games. Some of them are really good, some of them I'll probably never play, and I know a lot of people were upset when they heard the list or the full list. There are some really good games on here, and I know this thing will be hacked down the road, and that's really why I bought this. They come in at $99 US. You can get them on Amazon, GameStop, Best Buy, Walmart. They're pretty much available everywhere. And as you can see, it comes with two PlayStation style controllers, HDMI cable, and your power cord. It does not come with a power brick. You'll need to source your own from a phone charger or something like that, but I'm sure a lot of you guys have some laying around that you can use. The controllers are not the DualShock style PS1 controllers. That's totally fine for the preloaded games they have on here. They are USB. I have not tested them on PC yet, but they'll probably work just fine. So in this video, I just want to take a look at the unit. I'm going to tear it down, then we're going to test a few games. Here's a Raspberry Pi 3B Plus right next to this thing for scale. It is tiny. It is way smaller than I thought it would be. It does have 3 physical buttons: power, reset, and your CD swap for like Final Fantasy VII and dual or multi-disc games. Here's the US SNES Classic version right next to the PlayStation Classic. So checking this thing out, it looks well built. We have 2 USB ports on the front for our controllers. Moving around to the back, HDMI out and our micro USB power in. So this thing only does 720p out through the HDMI. And to tell you the truth, I wish they would have spent more time getting the image quality correct. It is PlayStation, so it doesn't look like an Xbox One game, but it could have looked a lot better than it does. The main issue with the PlayStation Classic is that they used PAL games for most of the games on here. Now we're outputting NTSC, which would be 60 Hz or 60 FPS. PAL games ran at 50. So we have a mix of PAL games and NTSC video out. It does get a little jittery in some games. I'm hoping this will be fixed down the road when the community starts hacking this thing. But for instance, Tekken 3 is running at 50 FPS and it feels really, really sluggish compared to, let's say, running it on the Raspberry Pi or your Nvidia Shield or even your PC. DF Retro at Digital Foundry just did a full review on this thing. I urge you to check it out. I'm going to leave a link in the description. It's a bit long, but he explains pretty much everything perfectly. Let's go ahead and tear this thing down. I want to see what makes it tick. It's really easy to get it apart. There are 5 screws on the bottom, and then there are 4 screws holding the main board in. As you can see, there is this heat plate here. It's made out of steel, but it is making contact with the CPU to keep it nice and cool. The board is very well built. I mean, this is PlayStation. It is professional. Looks great here. I have an LM11, and I'm not sure if there are other versions out there, but keep an eye on this if you want to tear yours down. Taking a look at the CPU, it's a MediaTek MT8167A. This is a quad-core Cortex A35 CPU running at 1.5 GHz. The GPU is a PowerVR GE8300. And this is all backed by 1 GB of DDR3 RAM. It's running at 1866 MHz and a Samsung 16 GB eMMC module. So we have 16 GB of storage here. A lot of it's probably taken up by the 20 games on here, but this will be hacked very shortly. When I first saw these specs, they actually reminded me of the new Amazon Fire Stick 4K. In that, we have the MediaTek 8695. It's a quad core at 1.7 GHz, the same exact GPU, the PowerVR GE8300, 1.5 GB of DDR4 RAM, but it only has 8 GB of internal storage. So all in all, the new Fire Stick is around $40 to $50 depending on where you get it, and it is more powerful than the PlayStation Classic. It actually runs PS1 games really well using RetroArch. I actually made a video on it if you want to check that out. I did mention that the PlayStation Classic will be hacked very shortly, and I'm pretty sure of it. I've actually run some experiments on this thing, and it seems pretty easy to get into. Now, I haven't successfully been able to load anything onto it, but I want to show you what I got right now. Towards the back of the board, near the HDMI, there are 4 little solder spots here. It looks like maybe a USB OTG adapter would be fitted here, or maybe even some proprietary UART setup. There's also another odd little spot here with 4 USB solder points and these 2 larger ones. So I figured, let's go ahead and plug this into a PC. I tried Windows and I tried my Linux machine. Nothing happened when holding the reset, nothing happened when holding the eject button or the power, or all of them in some kind of combination. But when I bridged the 2 larger connections, plugged it into my PC, and held the power button, I was greeted in my device manager with MediaTek USB port COM3. The device manager only detects this for about 3 to 5 seconds, and then it switches over to something interesting. It switches over to Yocto. Yocto is an open source Linux project that allows you to create Linux distributions for embedded systems pretty easily. When I moved over to my real device manager in Windows, it pops up as a TP-Link Android phone, Android bootloader interface. So yeah, I really don't think it's running Android. It is running some sort of custom Linux distribution. I just think this is what Windows is picking it up as the driver. I did plug this into a Linux machine. I really got nothing there. I tried to run some ADB commands. Nothing much, but this is very promising. I give it less than 9 days and this thing will be hacked. We'll be able to replace all these PAL games with NTSC games. Now, that's if you're willing to pay $100 for it. I know it's got that official PlayStation branding on it, but you can do a Raspberry Pi for much cheaper, and the performance, as it sits right now, is much better than the PlayStation Classic. So here we are at the main interface, very reminiscent of the CD player option on the original PlayStation. Looks pretty good in my opinion, very smooth. I know a lot of people might disagree with me, but I think it looks really great like this. So I want to get into a little bit of gameplay. I'm going to let this first game load through, and then I'm just going to skip into some gameplay with some other ones. But the first game I wanted to test was Tekken 3. This is one of my all-time favorite fighting games. I've played this game literally hundreds of times on my original PlayStation, emulating it on PC, the Raspberry Pi, other single-board computers, and even the Nvidia Shield. But with the PlayStation Classic, they gave us the PAL version, so it's only going to be running at 50 FPS, and it's very noticeable. I mean, you can really feel the lag here. It just feels really muddied up when you're fighting.
Round 1. Fight!
If you've played this game a lot, you can probably see it. I know some people might think it's running fine, but it is definitely a lot slower. Now, I should be playing this at 60 FPS. It's at 50 with a couple dips here and there. It just doesn't feel right because I'm so used to the NTSC version running at 60.
You win.
Next up, Cool Borders 2. I used to play the heck out of this game. I notice a lot of glitching here and there. When you first start off, you could see right through the little starting post. You can see the character right next to you. Lots of wall gaps and glitches going on in this game. I just don't remember all of this fuss going on the original console. Here we have Ridge Racer 4. To tell you the truth, it actually feels pretty good on the PlayStation Classic. And finally, Twisted Metal. Totally forgot how fun this game was. It actually makes me want to pick it back up again and play through it. As the years went on, they made more and more of these, and I kind of just lost interest in them. But after playing part 1 here, even against the CPU, it makes me want to get back into it. I used to waste hours and hours with my buddies playing these games. So overall, it's a cool little device, but I think it's overpriced at $100 for what we're getting here. If you've been on the fence about getting one, I would still stay away from it unless there's a viable hack out there. And even then, we can still do this on our Raspberry Pi, our PC, our laptop, our Nvidia Shield, cheap Android TV box, the Fire Stick, our Fire tablet, our cell phone. And if you have a PSP or a PS Vita laying around, it'll do PS1 games better than the Classic will, as of right now. So I know this thing will be hacked very shortly, hopefully in the next few days. If not, I give it a maximum of 9 days. I will be making a tutorial as soon as the hack is released, so go ahead and hit that subscribe button so you stay up to date. If you're still interested in picking up a PlayStation Classic, I'm going to leave a link to Amazon in the description. If you guys have any questions, let me know in the comments below. And like always, thanks for watching.